The Giteau Law is gone, folks. The Wallabies can now pretty much select whoever they want. They've done a bit of a South Africa. South Africa used to have a player selection restriction criteria as well until Rassie got rid of them. Other countries have been relaxing them. The Wallabies themselves have relaxed the Giteau Law over the years. Wales have relaxed their selection law a bit, but according to Pete Horn, the policy is now redundant, so they are not going to be enforcing any kind of player selection criteria requirements for the Wallabies. The Wallabies coach, currently Joe Schmidt, and in future Les Kiss, will be able to select whoever he wants from wherever he wants, assuming the player is available from their club. Obviously, the way the European club schedule works, it doesn't always mean they'll have access to the players. It's going to be an important one going forward for the Aussies to do kind of what the South Africans do and have a good relationship with the clubs around the world to make sure players are available as much as possible. They still said there is going to be something of a domestic preference because part of the reason this law has always existed is to protect the domestic game, and what effect it is going to have on Super Rugby is going to be one that kind of remains to be seen. If guys are getting big money offers from overseas, will they be inclined to stay in Australia? I think there's always going to be a desire for some players to play at home, at least for part of their career. But will we see players leave? There'll be some who will go, for sure. But what they have said is there is going to be a preference for domestic players. Joe Schmidt has already talked about that in previous selections while the Giteau Law was still something of a thing, that if there are two guys who are more or less on equal footing, he is going to select the guy who is domestically based, and the Aussies have confirmed that situation is not going to change. So you've still got a better shot of making the Wallabies if you are domestically available. And I think the Box do kind of something similar, right? They try to get the domestic guys in through the system as much as they can. But there are obviously exceptions who are based abroad that end up getting the call up. Will Joe now suddenly make a shift and try to select a whole bunch of players from overseas? I don't think he's going to change it up massively. Not at least in the short term, because he's already had the squad together for so much of the prep and tour itself for the British and Irish Lions tour. I don't think that he's going to suddenly start recruiting a bunch of guys who are based overseas. And we do need to keep in mind that a lot of the players who are currently in the Wallabies have signed recent contract extensions to stay in Australia. There are a few guys going abroad, like Longy Gleeson's going abroad. Tom Hooper, who got that Man of the Match award in that winning Lions test from a Wallabies perspective, he is heading abroad. Tani Alatupo is heading abroad. Guys like that, you feel like are prime candidates for use of this kind of current policy because they are there or thereabouts with Joe in the current squad. But Joe's had the option, I think, for 3 players at a time. He's exercised that in the past, but his recent squad has only really had Will Skelton in it. So Joe seems to have been relatively happy to select the guys who are domestically based at the moment. I mean, some of the other guys who are based abroad, Jordan Uelese is playing his rugby abroad. Given that Dave Parecki has just retired, they might look. There's a couple of other, I think, Aussie hookers abroad as well. Obviously, Samu Karevi and Marika Korombedi have been called up in the past, but they weren't called up for the Lions tour. Sean McMahon is the kind of one of the guys who's been based in Japan for years now. He's in his early 30s at this point, has had a lot of injury setbacks, but he's that one guy that always gets talked about in terms of picking guys who've been playing rugby over in Japan. Matt Phillip, I think, another one. But yeah, I don't think that they are suddenly going to look to fill the ranks with a bunch of the overseas guys. I still think the squad is largely going to be domestically based, but it does give the Wallabies a fighting shot going forward to have the best team on the field at times. There are other teams who still follow the restriction model. The All Blacks still do it. They probably them in England, I would say, are the 2 strictest. I don't know that the Irish have got a formalised policy about it, but they only select guys who are based in Ireland. Like I said, Wales have got a restriction based on number of caps before you can get selected, but they've relaxed it in recent years, but the Wallabies have gone from the restricted to the kind of open side of the fence. We'll see if more teams do follow. We'll see if it has much effect on the domestic game and what effect it has on the Wallabies going forward. You guys let us know your thoughts. Do you think it is a good move? I feel like it was kind of coming. So I hope it works out for the Wallabies and not to the detriment of the Super Rugby clubs. I feel like Super Rugby could honestly benefit generally as a competition for a bit more freedom in kind of player movement and availability. But that would mean New Zealand Rugby getting on board, which I cannot see happening anytime soon. Like, it'd be nice to see some NZ players overplaying Super Rugby for the Aussie teams and still be All Blacks available, but that ain't going to happen. So you guys let us know your thoughts, and we'll see how things pan out for the Aussies. You guys take care. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.